Hey everyone, Jason here from Spiritualbabies.net, and I'm answering another question which was brought to me online via Facebook. If you have questions you'd like me to have a crack at and you'd like my opinion on, fire away. If you have questions that you want me to put to some of the rabbis that I record with, send me those too. This is just my opinion, but it's the result of much wrestling. So this person sent me a message on Facebook, and they asked about Bible and translation. Which Bible should they use? They said they're on their fourth one. Every time they get one, they find an issue with it, and then they go out and they look for another one. This is something that everyone will do. You can't help it. There are no perfect translations of the text. There is only the text and someone's opinion of what the text says. And there's a couple of interesting things to consider. For example, copyright. As new versions of the Bible appear, they have to be different enough from previous versions so they don't infringe on the copyright of those previous versions, and so the translator of that new version has to actively change the text enough to make it a new book. Now, I'm not saying that they use that opportunity to make the text say something that it doesn't. What I am saying is that a translation is never going to be perfect, and they are inherently going to be different from each other and from the original text. So what do? Well, I use lots of different ones. I have a Pentateuch and half Torah book, which is fabulous. That has really awesome commentary in it. And you'll find a copy of the Pentateuch and half Torah. If you just type that in, you'll find the... I've got it here. This is the one that I use when I start my Torah studies. So there, I don't know if that's very good, but the Sonico, Pentateuch and half, you can see all of my notes. I have that. I also use the Jewish Study Bible, Oxford Press edition. Interestingly, it says the Jewish Study Bible, but it's not very Jewish, right? It may have been written by people who are Jews, but it's quite untraditional. So I found some areas of them I wasn't happy with. The choices of punctuation and some changes. Historically, lots of the stuff in it is good, but the commentary I found didn't support my faith very much. The Art Scroll, on the flip side, is very traditional, and again, it's a really good translation if you want to do that. But sometimes that's overly traditional to the extent that sometimes the text changes to the bias of the editor. Then there is the Everett Fox translation. That's my favourite one to read from. That's the 5 Books of Moses. If you just type in the 5 Books of Moses into Google, you're going to find that. That's not a mechanical translation, and a lot of the Hebrew idiom that's in the Hebrew text has been carried over and translated into the English, so you're reading a much more visceral translation of the text. However, none of them is perfect, and the only real good version of the Tanakh is the Hebrew version of the Tanakh. So, but I can't afford to, or I have the time, or can be bothered, or have the skill set to learn Hebrew, you shout. And that's okay. So my advice would be to start noting down what you learn about certain areas of the Bible into notebooks, and making your own concordance. It's not an easy thing to do. You'll have to be patient and very organized. But if you get a good, really thick notebook, and you just start off by doing notes on maybe Torah portions, and divide the notebook into 5 parts, and write down your notes as you go, and then year on year, you'll be adding to, with every new thing you learn. Then you'll find that as you write them down and catalog them, your brain will start to catalog the change, and you'll recall the areas a lot more easily that you've read about and studied through. And if not, then you'll have a hard copy and you'll be able to say, well, I think I read something about that. And rather than going through a million different books, you'll just have to go to one notebook, or 2 or 3, depending on where you are. I think I'm on like notebook 7 at the moment. But I find that super helpful. That's what I do. I understand that none of the books that I have, none of the Tanakh I have is perfect. So I take on what I can, and I note the bits which I don't think I remember or I don't understand straight away, so I can do further study. I heard a phrase once, you eat the meat and spit out the bones. I think that's what you have to do with any translation. So that would be my advice. Eat the meat and spit out the bones. Just because someone says, I think this is a really good translation, don't accept that everything in it is accurate or faithfully represents the meaning of the text. Because often the text will say one thing, but the meaning of what that text was meant to say and what it meant to the ears that heard it originally is very different. Because we live in a different world with different people, we have a different skill set, different life choices, different environment. So that's that. If you have questions, leave them below. Subscribe to this channel. This is my vlog channel. This is not what the channel that I normally put videos up on, but this is where I put my personal thoughts and things, because they're not backed up. It's just me. Anything I say here is my fault. And over on Spiritualbabies, so what I'm doing there is sharing time with rabbis, and you're getting their opinion, and this is mine. Whatever it's worth. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.